In the words of the legendary Lou Gellerman, hello, dog fans, and welcome to the Sound the Siren podcast, because everything matters, including and introducing Montlake Memories, which is our series of conversations with UW Athletics alums covering their time on Montlake, their careers post-graduation, and any thoughts they have on current goings-on in the Washington Athletic Department. If you enjoy our show, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. In case you missed it, we're also on YouTube at Sound the Siren UW. Please like and subscribe there as well. We are also a proud member of the College Huddle Network. Please check out thecollegehuddle.com, as well on social media at College Huddle and other College Huddle podcasts. Without further ado, I'm privileged to be joined today by not one, but two UW Athletics alums. First, the starting point guard for Husky women's basketball teams that made consecutive trips to the NCAA tournament, Emily Harden. Emily Florence, during her playing days, started all but 3 of 122 games in her Washington career, scoring 626 points, dishing out 217 assists, collecting 539 career rebounds, a 2007-2008 team captain and MVP, first team All Pac-10 defensive team, third team Pac-10 honoree, as well as a first team All Pac academic, and Caleb Burt, Most Inspirational Award winner, also a 3-time All Pac academic team member, 4-time Most Outstanding Defensive Player on the team, and ranking 7th on both the UW Assists and Steals career leaderboard. Emily Harden, welcome.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Thank you.
And then introducing Ty Harden, a second.
Compared to that, I think.
I don't think so. Third team All-American honors in 2006, garnering all Far West region honors, first team in 2006 and third team in 2004. A 2-time Pac-10 All-Academic and week of 11-18 2003 Pac-10 Player of the Week. During Ty's career at Washington, he was part of 3 NCAA tournament teams, including the first team to reach the third round of the tourney in 2003. Welcome. So, heavy-hitting duo.
We'll compare those later. Yeah. We're just a little competitive at times.
I can't imagine that, but definitely a through line for both of you. Definitely an emphasis on defense. So
yeah, for better or worse, but that's okay.
Hey, nothing wrong. Don't have to score as much if you can stop it.
That's right. Defense wins championships.
The national championship game still hitting a little too close to home, unfortunately, in that regard. Before we look back on your careers at Washington, please give Husky fans an update on what you're doing today.
So today, right now, this summer, I'm coaching for a club team called Meta out of Idaho. But we have a few girls we can actually get girls that border the state of Idaho. So we have a couple girls from Washington, Montana, kind of all over. And we're in the Adidas circuit, and we're playing in big tournaments all summer for hopefully kids that are going to be seniors to get a college scholarship. One of our biggest players, Bryn McGoy, just signed with UW, which was a huge signing for them. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Absolutely, and I know Husky fans are as well. The reaction on social media was fairly extensive, and we certainly do our best on the podcast to try and amplify the good news for all programs at UW, not just football, even though we talk about football a little bit more than the other sports, but we're working on that. And then Ty, give everybody an update on what you're working on.
Yeah, so I played, as you sort of mentioned in the intro, in Major League Soccer for a long time. I've now worked for the union that represents all Major League Soccer players. Gosh, almost as long as I've played now, 7 or 8 years. So that's what I'm up to these days. That, in addition to raising our 3 little kids and having lots of fun and going to lots of kids sporting events too.
Sounds like both of you have 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah, crazy.
How much coffee is consumed on a daily basis to keep up?
You don't want to know.
I can at least empathize there. It's definitely a 2-cup minimum on a daily basis for me, unless there's something really, really strange happening. Looking back at your recruitment and commitments yourselves to UW, talk us through kind of what were the moments that it clicked for you that Washington was where you wanted to go, and what were the big drivers for each of you to pick UW during your playing careers?
For me, obviously Seattle was a little bit bigger of a city than Boise, so I kind of wanted to go to a bigger city, get away for a while, but I still wanted to stay close to home. It's only an hour flight from here. It's easy for my family to come to games. I took a visit and absolutely loved the coaches. The girls on the team were awesome. I just kind of fit in, felt like home to me. It was also a perfect day in Seattle on my visit. Like, sun was shining. I was on the boat. Went to a football game, sailgating. Like, everything was kind of perfect. So that worked out. Yeah, that's kind of what stood out to me as far as making the decision. It's kind of funny though, like when Bryn just committed there, right after her visit, she came up to me and she's like, Emily, I just know, like, you just have a feeling after your visits, like you go different places and then you have one that you just know. And I was like, yeah, if you know, you know. So it's kind of
Yeah, mine was super similar. I went on a bunch of visits and I went to UW and I loved the whole experience. I loved the people. I felt like the team was a bunch of good guys. I vibed with the coaching staff. I felt like everybody in Seattle was like very much like their authentic self. Like, just they were very like accepting of different people, and I thought that was really cool. Like Emily, I came from a super small town, much smaller even than Boise, and I wanted to get away but not too far. And I grew up outside of Eugene, so I did get a little bit of fluff from the Oregon fans, as you can imagine. But I loved my visit. I loved all the people. I felt like it was really a program that was all about the program's bigger than the person, and like you belong to this like bigger thing. And I really enjoyed my visit and my time up there, and it became a pretty quick no brainer, honestly, and no regrets since either.
Although I might argue with the choice of no-brainer, considering the litany of all academic honors that both of you
That's right.
received during your
That's
time at
right.
Washington, so maybe an easy decision because of the firing neurons that both of you have.
And that became a big differentiator for me too. Is like the academics were just so great. That was like that made the like make your decision on everything else fits. Like, the academics are going to be great.
Definitely. And it really is, Emily, to your point, it definitely is hard to beat a nice day. Husky
It's
Stadium.
impossible.
Yeah.
And I was from Oregon, so I knew there were other not nice days, but that was just normal for me. Boise's a little sunnier.
no. Get lost
But
you.
we lost your sound again.
Talking to some changes that have happened since your playing days. If NIL had been around when you were at Washington, any stores, restaurants, or places in the Seattle area that you would have wanted to work with and represent as an athlete, or go to, whether that's go to food spots.
I crushed a lot of pizza ragazzi. I would have been all over that deal.
God, it's not even like it.
Probably more than I should have as a college athlete, but the times were different.
Yeah.
Got to get your cards somewhere.
Yeah. First of all, just NIL would have been so nice. Come out of school with a little bit of money. Obviously, a Lululemon. I would have loved Lululemon. There's so many good food spots in Seattle. I don't know.
I have to say, at the time, I would have been all about Nike growing up in Oregon. And
Yeah.
at that time, UW was a Nike school then, so I feel like it's okay to say. I know that's changed since, but at the time, I would have been all over that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I certainly can't call that out on you. There is an old, 97 era Nike behind me. Although the hat on top does represent the three stripe life. So Emily, don't worry about that with your Adidas affiliation. I've made that brand transition. And certainly, Ty, all the props to you as well. I think there's a special appreciation in the Husky fandom for people that, particularly anyone from Oregon that becomes a Husky, but anyone that's from around Eugene. Notable women's basketball alum Elise Woodward, from Eugene directly. And certainly, I know that there's basically, I think there's a proud history of Idaho Huskies as well, whether it's Cody Pickett, Emily, yourself, your teammate Maggie O'Hara.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, we got a good squad.
Maggie a shout. I like that.
Yeah, Maggie too. Yeah, Elise. Yeah, I think both Elise, her boys are at UW now too, right? Baseball, I think.
I think so.
So that's
I
pretty
think
cool.
so. It's another program going through coaching transition as we speak. They just hired, I believe, Utah Valley's coach Eddie Smith.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because their previous coach Jason Kelly moved to when Texas A&M's coach left to take the Texas job. They hired a new head coach, and Jason Kelly went to be their new pitching coach.
Oh, okay.
SEC money still is
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
wreaking havoc on Washington.
It's crazy.
Until we get up to that full Big Ten share. Looking back at your careers at UW, what would you say are your favorite memories and the things that you're proudest of accomplishing during your playing days?
For me, well, one thing I'll always remember is the NCAA tournament. It was pretty fun going to Vanderbilt and playing LSU to go to the Sweet 16. That was pretty cool. I won't ever forget that. I think my senior night, we beat Cal, who was ranked, I think, like 8th or something in the country at the time. And so that was a big win. Just some of those big wins for me. I won't forget those. I don't know. What else? What sticks out for you?
Man, what's wrong with me? You know what's sad? I thought about that question a little bit. In the very first thing that I think there was like 3 or 4 moments I had a hard time separating. Most of them were negative. So I don't know why. Like I think back and I remember my freshman year, I wanted to say rookie, my freshman year, we lost in like on a golden goal in double overtime at St. Louis. And I was so disappointed and I was so sad. I'm gonna get sad talking about it. Because I honestly like loved my teammates so much, and particularly our senior class was just like the best group of guys. I felt like I let them down. And I remember that, and I'm like getting choked up talking about it 20 years later. But at the same time, I remember it fondly because that was such a good group of people, and it was such a good team. And like our spirit and camaraderie was just like unbelievable that it like pushed me probably for the rest of my life in a lot of ways of what like a group can be. So that's one, but oddly we lost that game, like I said. The other one was a similar moment, kind of bookend, which was the last game of my career, which we also lost in a similar round in the playoffs in overtime on a golden goal. And I couldn't believe it was over. I couldn't believe like my time at UW, at least as a student athlete, was over. I'll say one more. We always had this tradition in men's soccer and maybe other programs too, where we would have a meeting a couple weeks after the season was over, and it was my senior year. And it was almost anticlimactic. It was always the seniors would get up and say thanks or say something quickly, not like a big, deep spirited, and we would leave the room. And you walk out with the guys you'd spent 4 and 5 years with and had started your career there. And we just walked out of the room, and it was just like this strange feeling. Like the rest of the team was there. They were having a conversation about, their spring training and what practices were coming. And like, just in an instant, it's like, it goes by so fast. And so it makes you think about how important some of those friendships and moments and time were. And then the one other one that and this is going to be cheesy, but I can't help but think about was, I think it must have been my sophomore year. I remember meeting Emily. I can't remember the dorm. I cannot remember. What was your dorm?
The big, huge gray one, the balconies.
Oh my gosh.
Well, McMahon or...
McMahon, yeah.
McMahon. And I don't know, I remember meeting her, and she had a white t-shirt on, and they're like stylishly ripped up jeans. And I was like, this girl's pretty good looking and also seemed pretty cool. So I don't know. Those are all pretty good memories for me in a twisted, weird way, probably for some of them.
It's definitely a good thing to mention, and certainly a life-changing moment.
For sure.
I will definitely say, Emily, you brought up the Vanderbilt trip. I definitely have fond memories of that one as well, and bit of a whirlwind trip to get there for me, but it was seeing you guys win was definitely a big highlight. And
Yeah, that was fun.
I still hear her parents' stories about a couple of good nights out there.
Yeah, it was fun. The NCAA tournament was fun. Chartered flights, the band was on there, just like rocking out. Like it was fun. Good times. And you guys, all you fans made the trek over there. Like so cool.
That is cool.
I didn't have the band on my flight. I had to go to Vegas. I went from Seattle to Vegas, Vegas to Philadelphia, Philadelphia to Nashville. I think I got to Nashville, I think 2.5 or 3 hours before tip off. Dropped my bags off at the hotel.
Crazy. That's dedication.
Changed
I respect
and
that.
went to the arena. And hey, you guys won, so it was worth it.
Thanks to you.
No. No. I had nothing to do with it. I was just loud. That's it.
Do you remember when I got a technical against LSU?
I don't remember that. I certainly remember the Erica White flip of Bree.
Oh yeah.
And
I got a technical. So Sylvia Fowles went up and got a rebound, and then I came up and snuck up behind her and just took the ball from her. And they called the jump ball. And I literally just grabbed it from her. I was like, there's no jump. Like, she wasn't even holding on to it. I had the ball. They called the jump ball, and I got pissed. Threw the ball down, but instead of, like, grabbing it before it shot up, like, 20 feet in the air. And they teed me up, but...
Now that you mention it, I do remember that. Although it also brings to mind a couple of very hilarious moments from your playing career. Number one, there was an instance where you ran into Andrea Bills you were going full speed. She was standing there. You bounced off, and she got called for the foul.
Yeah.
There was another one where Andrea Plouffe came down with something and kind of threw an elbow, and you went flying, and teammates. And then the other one, there was you snuck up behind Kate Benz. And went kind of around the corner, pilfered it, picked her pocket, and she basically you went back the other way, I think made the lay-in. She was like toddler tantruming, like stomping her feet, like one of the funniest things I've seen.
That's so funny, yeah.
There's a few.
I made a few people pretty upset.
It's what Husky fans appreciated about you.
Yeah.
Among, I didn't think you had an off switch.
Yeah, just go.
Yep. And then kind of looking, moving kind of beyond your careers, but for your teams and at UW Athletics in general, talk us through how connected do you still feel to the university and the programs? How have the programs kept you connected to, both to your specific teams and to UW Athletics in general, and any variance that you've seen with the different staffs over time?
Yeah, that's what was tough with me. Of course, my senior year, we got a new coaching staff, and then I left and graduated. I went overseas for a little bit, and then came back. And really wasn't super connected anymore. They had a whole new coaching staff again after mine from senior year, and they've had so many. And then obviously started getting interested again and following UW, and like Plums came, and they had some good runs, and that was so exciting. And then now I'm super connected because I know the coaches at UW, and we talk all the time because they have girls they're recruiting from our team. One of the girls last year had UW in her top 5, so she took an official visit there. And then Bryn, who committed there. So I'm constantly in contact with them now. It's just fun. They have such a good staff. I was on the phone with one of them today. And they're just getting better and better now. So that's kind of fun to watch and follow and be a part of. And then when Bryn committed there, I was down in Seattle for that with the girls on the team there and the whole staff. So that was pretty fun. They're just really good people. So now I feel super connected. Even though my coaches at the time aren't there anymore, but Ty still has a coach that's there.
Yeah, I went through a similar, like our coaching staff all left for probably various reasons, and I was busy playing professionally, and I still kept in close contact with a lot of my friends, but I didn't get out to a game for a long time and wasn't quite as connected. Honestly, oddly, I will say Jamie Clark, the men's head coach, is phenomenal, and his former player and alumni group outreach is he's so good at it. Then one of the assistant coaches when I was there, Rich Reese, came back, and he's helped get me like dialed back in. And then oddly, in a weird thing, COVID, I did like a couple of like mentorship stuff with some of the guys and a couple of full team things, and like that like got me back into it. We went to a game shortly after that, and we hadn't been back forever, and like they did it really well and put us like up on the big board and like kind of got us fired up. Obviously, the team's been really, really successful over the last handful of years, so that does probably help. Yeah. I will say too, when UW football's good, like it just brings it out even that much more, right? It's pretty fun. We enjoyed the last couple of falls on that front too. Yeah. But yeah, getting out to a couple games and I feel and having a staff that's just really good people is super helpful.
Rich is still there.
Yeah, one of the assistants who was there when I was there left and came back, and that's helped a ton too. Just that personal relationship.
Just more evidence that there's
now all three
about Washington. Go ahead, Emily.
All three of our kids are now diehard Huskies. Like, yes, like just obsessed. So that's good.
Yeah, we made it out to the Boise State,
Oh yeah, that was fun. Game. That was really fun. Took my son out there for that, which he won't forget, which was really cool. Now one of my players just committed to USC, so
don't get me started.
My kids, we got to cheer for her.
That's a survival. That's a tough one.
We're all obviously hoping that that Bryn gets the better of those battles going forward. So.
Sorry.
No, Avery, we love Avery, but
I mean they're building if they are not a national contending championship contender next year, I will be shocked.
Their class coming in, it's going to be insane. Juju, and they're going to be so good. So yeah, hopefully Avery can get a national championship. That would be awesome.
For sure, last time they played, UW won though. So.
Oh yes, they did.
Yeah, Emily, go a little bit further and talk us through kind of your insights on Bryn's recruitment. What you feel comfortable sharing. What stood out to you, having the experience that you had going through the recruitment process and then seeing it as a coach.
So like I said, Avery Howell was a year older than Bryn. She was a top player for us. She started getting recruited hard by UW, so I got close with the coaches then. And Avery ended up loving the staff right away. And then Bryn being a year younger than her, and she's actually from Washington, Colfax. But she's from like Washington State area. They're all Cougars, so like they hate the Huskies. So Bryn always was in the back of her head, I think, was kind of like no to UW. Like I want to get out of state and go somewhere, a little bit further. So she kind of like UW actually in the beginning wasn't one of her tops at all. And then Avery going through it, had UW in there, and they're good friends, so they were talking back and forth about how great the staff is and how they're getting better every year. They have a good class, they have really good guards, and Tina's an awesome coach. So they started developing relationships with them, and UW ended up in Avery's top 5. And then Bryn was like trying to narrow schools down. She had so many offers. Bryn blew up, had tons of huge schools, that wanted her. So she was getting. I mean, it's stressful. These kids.
It's overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming. What they go through is. I mean, when we were getting recruited, we didn't really even have cell phones. So we weren't even.
We were getting letters.
We were getting bugged.
Digital phone call, but
we were not getting bugged, or texts all the time or phone calls all the time. So it's stressful for these kids. So of course they're looking to me and Ashley Gill, who coaches at Meta, to talk them through some of it. And so we told Bryn, we're like, hey, you should keep UW around and just see, like, just saying, like, I went there, so I don't want to, like, be biased and tell you to go somewhere and you not be happy. So, like, I'm saying
I was trying to be biased.
Yeah, of course. But so we were just like, hey, maybe you want to leave state, but just keep them around and just see. And so she started developing a really good relationship with them, and she's like, oh my God, I really like them. Like everything, the girls on the team have been reached out, like the coaching staff, she just started connecting with them. And so UW ended up in her top, I think she released a top 10 or 12. And then she started taking some official visits to Iowa, Duke, North Carolina. And then, like I said earlier, she took one to UW and was just like, I know that's the spot for me. And I think her family being like Washington State Cougars was like,
she comes from a long line of Cougars.
Yeah. So like, But when you know, and so they're just really good people. And Tina doesn't throw out offers to anybody. She kind of, I mean, obviously they got to be good basketball players, but she's about like the kind of person they are. She wants to bring in good kids and have a good culture there. So yeah, it ended up it worked out really well. And of course I was excited. It was UW, and now people are like, "Did you influence her?" And I said, "No, I stayed out of it, but we're happy. We're happy she's a dog for sure."
Well, I mean, and that's certainly also there's just tons of echoes about you talked about your own recruitment experience. Like what I remember, that was around the era where I started, following every program at UW as best I can, kind of the beginning of the Heck Ed Hooligans era. And that was one of the things that was kind of a coalescing factor for us was it was not just, a great on the court product, but such good people.
Yeah.
And that was just, and we didn't talk to you guys extensively by any stretch of the imagination, but that was something that just shined through with the Doherty staff.
Yeah, definitely.
Final question, unless something kind of comes up impromptu, with now the Pac-10 and Pac-12 era over, anything else that kind of stands out to you at a conference level, both looking backwards and then any thoughts on the move to the Big Ten and things that you're excited about?
I was
breaks my heart.
Yeah,
I grew up with like Pac-10, Pac-12. I still call it the Pac-10. That's like how long we go back. It's tough. I mean, I will say there's some pretty fun matchups on the calendars for all the programs, right? That haven't happened in Seattle or like at the other home campuses. So it will be fun. I think there'll be a lot of cool matchups in soccer and football and men's and women's basketball. But I'm not ready. I'm still getting over it.
It's tough. It's kind of heartbreaking, especially because our conference was good. It's not like we weren't good. Like, how good were they at football? Everybody. So to see it kind of...
Yeah, it's been insane last year.
Maybe it'll come back eventually, but yeah, it's tough.
We're holding out hope.
But and it's just weird to think about the travel and all that. But then, you talk to the coaches now because the girls that I'm coaching are getting recruited and they're like, okay, we're going to charter flights. They're figuring out scheduling, like Avery USC will go to UW this year and then UW will go the following year when Bryn's freshman year over to USC. So you only play your rival. Like they'll get Oregon home and away and that's it, I think. So I think they're trying to figure out the schedule. It'll be tough though. It'll be tough for the smaller sports. Yeah. For sure.
It's going to be really tough for
the
non-revenue sports, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and by no means is, for myself or my colleagues on the Sound the Siren podcast. Well, we're glad that that UW has a still, seat at the big table and the primary share of revenue from football, because the downstream impacts, if that wasn't the case, could be disastrous. But super unfortunate. Like, it's, even though it's happened before in the year of the Husky Stadium renovation, it's going to be really weird to be playing Washington State in football at Lumen Field, and even weirder for it to be in September, like playing the Cougs in good weather.
That part is going to be really strange.
Yeah.
It's cool they're keeping that going, though. I will say that. Full stop.
No,
that's pretty sweet.
I mean, and it's one of the ones for basketball, the yearly matchups with Stanford and how big the number of times that kind of underdog Washington team. I think it happened a couple of times during your career, Emily. Knocked off Stanford. Those are huge. Like, I remember a couple of times that was front page of ESPN.com when you.
I mean, people.
Definitely.
They're going to be playing in the ACC. That's even crazier.
Yeah. I know. For some reason, I loved playing against Stanford, just because we were always supposed to lose. So for me, that was always one of my games that I loved to play against them because we were the underdog, and it was always fun to.
It was just nice to have nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
I always appreciate.
But I mean, people talk about rivalries, and it's like every Pac-10, every Pac-12 game is a rivalry. Really, I mean, most of the conferences have been playing for 100 years.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, or for the last era of the the era of the Pac-12, Utah and Colorado were the new kids, but prior to that, the Arizona schools joined in the 70s.
I was gonna say, as long as I can remember, it was basically the same. Besides those two,
I won't miss, both in basketball and football, I won't miss regular trips to the desert because they were not particularly friendly.
Yeah.
They weren't.
I remember one game. I don't know if you remember this, Emily. There was one year I went to Arizona, the game at ASU, and you got called for a foul when Kerry Buckner had you by the wrist, and you just took your hand back, and you got called for the foul.
I hated ASU. I don't know why.
I did too.
Yeah.
And we didn't even play them.
They're the Ducks
They
with good
they
weather.
were always tough on you.
Yeah.
I was a physical gamer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Anything else that you guys would like to add, or perspectives on Washington athletics as a whole?
Well, thanks for having us. First of all, that was fun.
Yeah.
Always fun to go back and remember the good times. Hopefully, our kids will be there someday.
We'll have you on at that point to be like, okay, we've got to get what's the recruitment been like? Emily, we've gotten, and Ty, we've gotten your insights on what it was like to be recruited. Emily, as a coach, you've told us what it was like to be, have a player recruited, and then you'll have to tell us what it will be like when your kids inevitably end up Huskies. So
For sure.
you're always welcome, and thank you so much again for taking the time to be the inaugural guests on our new series, Montlake Memories.
Well, thanks for having us.